Was 2024 the best year for music ever? I don't know. I wasn't alive every year. Maybe in 1524 the bards were cooking up some heat. Maybe Little Lancer dropped his greatest album of all time and we're just not able to hear it. But what I can say is this year's been full of some of the most diverse and compelling projects I've ever heard in my lifetime. So what this video is actually going to be is me rambling through my top 20 albums of the year. We'll go through the first 20 to 11 kind of quick. And then we'll put a bit more focus on the top 10. But what I will say is if an album is a bit lower than you'd want it to be, I really like all of these albums a whole lot. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in my top 20. I listen to a lot of music. I listen to a lot of albums. So to get in the top 20 is an accolade in itself. But without much ado, welcome to the first edition of the Striking Chords Album Awards. Across the Tracks, a collaborative project between the greatest producer of right now, Conductor Williams, and the irreverently cool Boldy James. What we have here is a collection of kind of like cowboy western sounding beats with Boldy James just sleekly sitting on top, rapping about all the cool stuff he likes to rap about. I think the old switcheroo is probably like the song I think is the coolest song that's come out this year. You throw that on, you sit back, and you're just like, yeah, this rocks. Mavi is forever evolving sonically and lyrically, and that persists on his latest record, Shadowbox, a series of hypnotizing tracks with themes of struggling to keep up with the evolution of his inner self and how that imposes on the people around him. Really just a fantastic listen, one of my most streamed albums of last year, and to top it all off, I got to see him live last month, and he was fantastic. Kyle may never get the flowers he deserves, with the weight of this album increasing tenfold with the passing of this irreverent lyricist earlier this year. Recontextualizing the track Borrow Time as well as certain bars throughout the record, I think his death really raises this album. And I know, you're only saying that in a posthumous sense. It was already a great record. Like, he is consistently one of the best lyricists out there. He's constantly thought-provoking and revealing, and this record is no different. If you're ready for a bit of a heavy, difficult listen, chuck this record on, put a pair of headphones, like have the lyrics up in front of you, and like really dig into what this guy has to say. He doesn't ever miss, does he? Catchy hooks and potent lyricism ties us into a swirl as Vince battles with himself and the relationships he's built around himself. All featured on top of some groovin' West Coast beats. This is Vince at his very best, as per usual. And as an aside, I'm sorry, Sabrina Carpenter, a Touffe was Song of the Summer. Did you ever put the new sound out of your top 10 albums of the year? That's what courage looks like. No, I'm just kidding. I love this album. It's a great record. Feel free to check my review from earlier in the year to see my full thoughts. But I think Jordy Greep has come off the back of the Black Mini split off with front foot forward. He is irreverently weird. He is creating this fusion of jazz, samba, post-punk, post-rock, and just mad concoction of phenomenal instrumentals, and Jordy just being his weird self over the top with his crazy lyrics, really poking fun at different sections of masculinity. It's a great listen. If you like Frank Zappa, definitely give this one a spin. A reminder of the ongoing genocide of the Palestinian people. The title, or lack thereof, of the cult post-rock group Godspeed You Black Emperor's new project really sets the tone for the instrumental landscape that they lay out in front of us. Dense and harrowing from back to front, the layer upon layers of dense instrumentals and sound effects really build up this feeling of hopelessness and demise under the force of pure evil. And if this is kind of a topic that moves you, I think give this record a spin. It creates this headspace or this context for what's going on over there in a really potent way. And I think it's great that a group of this magnitude is highlighting the horrors going on over there, because it can't be spoken about enough. I've been following and a big fan of Peggy for a good few years now, winding all the way back to Veteran, and I think I can confidently say, for me, this is his best work. His production has been evolving constantly throughout the years. His lyrics have always been punchy, I'm better than the other guys, having a bit of fun, but I think what he really excels on this project is opening himself up a little bit. There's a lot more emotional rawness in the things he's saying. His beats are a bit more... He's leaning into the boom bap in some ways and then leaning really hard into the experimental in other ways, and it ties itself together as this really tight, experimental hip-hop record with strong early 90s hip-hop influences in some of the production, which is fresh when it's coming from JPEG Mafia, and I think it's an all-around fantastic record. Ooh-wee. Big year for us jazzers. Bad Bad Not Good, one of my favorite groups in the world, released initially what were 3 EPs, which I remember when the third EP dropped, I was like, man, I'd love if they just tied this together in a nice little album, and they did. A few months later, and I was like, amazing. So I've just been loving it. Just seas of beautiful, intricate melodies that they're kind of known for when it comes to their songwriting. Beautiful harmonies, beautiful instrumentation, just fantastic instrumentalists all around. And yeah, they always deliver, and this is just them delivering again. In a year of many amazing Irish releases, Madra by New Dad sits atop of the mountain for me. Seas of dreamlike guitars and hypnotic drums ring from back to front with ethereal vocals leading you to the world of Madra. No one else sounds like Hiatus Coyote, and that prevails again on Love Heart Chico. This has to be one of my spun records of the year. It's full of infectious, groovy, and funky tracks that will wow you and make you smile and just put you in a good mood. Elucid's Revelator. I have to say, I walked into this record being like, oh, it's the other guy from Arm & Hammer that isn't Billy Woods. There's some Billy Woods features on here. I'll check it out. And I was really blown back for my ignorance within the first 30 seconds of the first track, World is Dog. Just these blasting horns and chaotic drums just absolutely swept me away. And I went, all right, I'm an idiot for ever thinking this is just the other guy. He's a fucking visionary. This album is a concoction of stressful, psychedelic, crazy real life sound samples and horns and crazy production, and Lucid's on top of it just talking about some really interesting stuff with just great flows, really keeping up with the chaotic energy of the instrumentals he's on top of. And I think what really brought this album to another level for me was I checked out his interview he did with the Rap Music Plug podcast, which I'll link below so you guys can check it out too if you're interested. And he was talking about his inspirations for the album, and he was like, oh yeah, no, I really want it to sound like Miles Davis, particularly inspired by Track X. And I went, oh, no way. Which, if you don't know, is a track off his album Get Up With It, which is one of my favorite Miles records. One of his very much experimental Miles moments. And Track X is this really weird, psychedelic kind of chaotic track. And if you listen to that and then listen to Revelator, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. And yeah, for me, that kind of raised the album up another level, it was already amazing, but really took me away. And I couldn't recommend this record enough if you're into weird experimental jazz or weird experimental hip hop. Guys, I don't really like country music. So when I saw this album getting lauded so much, I was really apprehensive. I was like, it's a country folk thing. I was like, I don't really care for that. It's not really for me. But, when something gets so much praise, you're like, fine, I'll give it a go. I think I listened to it once through, and I went in with like such like a closed mindset. I was like, no, I don't like this. This is country or whatever. Whatever happened like a week later, I was like, I'll give it another go. And I went in with a much more open mind, and I was taken aback by how much I suddenly connected to this record. I think lyrically, it's one of the most like grounded, honest kind of Gen Z perspective on the world that I've heard. Which, obviously I'm a Gen Zer myself, so I can connect to the lyrics on a very real level. But I think a lot of people can. I mean, he goes from talking about how like, oh man, I never see the world, I just play Guitar Hero in my room, and like, oh, I just read, I just gotta fix myself and then things will be alright. All these kind of prevailing mindsets and kind of habits that we formed in the kind of social media and internet era he's talking about throughout this. But on top of this, the melodies in his vocals are some of the catchiest things I've ever. I'm still like, even like I have my notes open here and I saw the album and I was like, yeah, different fucking hooks and phrases from the record are just in my brain immediately. I don't go a day without whistling or humming something from this record. It's incredible, and it's all on top of some phenomenal songwriting. Like the structures of the tracks are great. The instrumentals beneath the guitar, the lead guitar, and the vocal melodies are all like really gripping. And I think, yeah, this is just a really, really fantastic record. If you like a bit of anything rocky, just give it a go. Just give it a try. And if you don't like it the first time, maybe give it a second go. Because that's what I did, and I do not regret it. I've probably listened to this every day since I gave it that second listen. What? Why is it so low? Did you hear what I just said about the last two records? Why is it so high? But nonetheless, this is definitely a modern classic and an era-defining record that will be remembered in the history book. Charlie has been consistently impressive throughout her whole career, but this is really what I can only imagine is her magnum opus. If she manages to top this, I applaud her, and I will love it to get something better. But this record, I think, where it's masterful is taking the complex and making it simple. I think the beds of club bangers and electronic music beneath these vocals that at its surface perhaps sounds simplistic, which I think is a lot of the criticism I've heard, which I think is a load of horse hockey, if I do say so myself. Just every track is masterfully crafted to be catchy and its message to be stuck in your head, whether that's go out club and do drugs, or if it's, oh god, I'm getting old, should I have a kid or should I focus on my career? The range is impressive. The songwriting is masterful, and Charlie is once again just showing she is a superstar. No longer in the making, she just is a superstar. Who is Doechii? I thought to myself as I saw budding praise for this record from the newly signed Top Dog rapper. And let me tell you, Doechii told me who she was pretty quickly. She is versatile, technical, and a budding superstar. Every track is a phenomenon. I've listened to a lot of debut rap tapes, and I think I can confidently say this is the best I've ever heard. She track after track, she is creative. She's got crazy range. Her bars are intricate and funny. She has a million different flows on display. She was able to satire the genre she's trying to get into on boom bap. And, you know, she does all of this incredible artistry without taking herself too seriously. It's many ways the perfect debut. And I think whatever flowers Doechie's getting right now, they should just keep coming. Did somebody say top dog? Well, not anymore. But, you know, here in number 6, we've got Kendrick Lamar, who, you know, crazy year he's had. And this is here independent of the whole, you know, Euphoria, Not Like Us, etc. While those were, you know, some of the best tracks released in the year and just an incredible moment in music and hip-hop history, this record, GNX, dropping as a surprise release at the start of December, is just a delight. This is Kendrick having his most fun. He's catchy, he's confident, he's abrasive, and he's just showing everyone, I'm the best, no one's on my level. I think this is his best album since Damn. He's a consistent phenomenon, one of my favorite artists of all time, and this album hasn't left my rotation all month. And I'll be honest, you know, if he released this in like March and I had a bit more time to simmer with this record, this could jump to number 1 for all I know. But yeah, just an all-around incredible record. Did somebody say top dog? 3 in a row. Not intentional. This is just how it went. But yeah, Schoolboy Q rocked up at the start of this year with his absolute best. This is an incredibly versatile and gripping album. Every track is amazing and so different. It's crazy how he can rap in all of these different styles on top of all of these different styled productions, and every track is as gripping as the last, and it all feels like one coherent project. Some incredibly fun hooks, introspective lyricism. He's talking about his family, he's talking about his love life, he's talking about being the best rapper ever. He's doing everything. He does everything on this record. And, you know, he's outdone Kendrick for me. Granted, I've had, you know, more time to let this record simmer in my brain and simmer in my soul. But I don't think... I know I said it on the last section. That was me in Kendrick mode. But now I'm in, you know, broader speaking mode. I don't think, no matter how many times I listen to GNX, it would surpass the brilliance on display on this record. What a record. I really struggled to find a way to verbalize the kind of ethereal experience that you get when you just stick this on in your headphones. It's truly a transcendent and unique aural experience. London saxophonist Nalison Ephro takes you on a journey through space and time on her latest record, Endlessness. With 8 tracks, all labeled Continuum 1 through 8, it's this ever-evolving symphony with these heavy synth instrumentals and jazz drumming from Morgan Simpson, formerly of Black Midi fame, playing the drums on there. And there's some beautiful sax playing. But the most impressive part and what really took this album to like the highs in regard for me is just the atmosphere and the overall soundscape is something I've always wanted to hear, and I've always been like, man, I'd love to be able to make something like that, or I'd love to be able to hear something like that one day. And this album was gifted to me by Nala herself, and it's an all-around beautiful, phenomenal record. We're in the section of the albums where I'm like, please listen to this. It's so good. It's so important. And yeah, I can't put in the words enough how amazing this record is. So please give it a spin. What a seismic project, huh? You've probably listened to it. I imagine anyone clicking on this video has listened to this record, so you know how good it is. I don't even need to tell you how good it is, but if for some reason you haven't, this is like ABBA sci-fi concept album over some really cool synths. And I can't front and be like, oh yeah, no, I knew this was coming. Magdalena Bay, I've been hot on the button for years on these guys. Like, no, the album blew up, and I listened to it because everyone was talking about it. And I went, whoa, and listened to it a whole lot. Some phenomenal songwriting. Some of the catchiest hooks ever. Similar to MJ Lenderman's record, I don't go a day without hearing one of the hooks or the melodies in this record in my head. It's so infectious. It's so good. All of it makes you want to dance and makes you want to smile, even when it's talking about these weird fucking sci-fi concepts. The whole thing's tightly packaged in this weird sci-fi concept album. And it's just an amazing experience. I'm catching them live later this year now. We're in 2025. And I adore this group. And I will now be hot on the button for them for the rest of the time. I listened to this album a lot this year. Mach-hommy is a consistently special artist, and he's been hot on my radar since Pray for Haiti came out a few years back. With twisting lyricism, cutting between English, French, and Creole, the mystique of intentionally unpublishing his lyrics creates this entirely unique listening experience with any mach-hommy project. Deep political commentary of his native Haiti and his adopted America. He has an eye-opening perspective of the world and his surroundings. I think in particular, in a year where overseas there's a lot of hate towards immigrants, and particularly Haitian immigrants from some of the most powerful political leaders in the world, an album of this magnitude talking about the struggles of the Haitian people and the struggles of immigrants in America, on top of just broader political commentary from their perspective, is incredibly powerful and incredibly important. But that goes without even saying the brilliance of Mach-hommy's lyricism and flows and rapping on this record over some of the best beats I've heard in a hot minute. His ear and curation for picking beats from some of the best producers out there right now is phenomenal. I think, or in fact I know, Sur les Ponts d'Avignon, produced by Conductor Williams, is for sure my song of the year. It's a beautiful track, and if you take anything away from this video, is to hit play on that and just lay back and let it sink into you. Just a beautiful track. And yeah, Mach-hommy, Rich Axe, Haitian, number 2 on the album of the year list. That's no joke. Now, this number 1 has been a serious grower on me. It came out, I think, on the 1st of November. And I have to confess, I've been living under a rock. I had no idea who Mount Eerie was before this album came out. And I had no idea until after my first listen to this record that he's the Microphones guy. Who's also a band that I've just been procrastinating. I don't know if it's a band or just him. I'm actually not sure about that. But what I didn't know was that they're the same guy until after the first listen. And what that first listen did to me was something no other project this year has done. And no other project in a long time has done to me. I was like physically shaking after the first listen. I was like, whoa, this is... What was that? Why do I feel like this? I gotta go again. And I just kept listening, and it just kept getting better. Some of the most moving songwriting I've ever heard. He is kind of it's not sad per se. It's not like a depressing record, but the way he talks about the modern world is kind of it's paralyzing. Like it makes you feel a bit powerless to everything around us and how we interact with the world, and how he sees the world and how he interacts with nature. And it's beautiful. He goes from, making tracks talking about how his everyday life it makes him feel a bit powerless, and talking to fish about how they live their lives and how they disagree with his vision of the world. And it's hard to really define like the range and the emotional place it puts you in. And honestly, the inspiration it struck within me was what was most potent. I really walked away from this record being like, wow, I feel like my perspective on music and songwriting has changed as a result of this record. And I couldn't really fault it, like, on every listen. I don't even think like every track is perfect, or every track is the best execution, or it's the record that's moved me the most ever, or anything like this. But the whole experience altogether, I can't find a way to fault it. And just all of the positive influence it's had within me and on me, I couldn't have put it anywhere else other than my number one album of the year, and my number one recommendation to anyone watching this video to, please listen to this. This is an important piece of work, and I will be digging deep into the Phil Evernham catalog to really expose myself to more of his songwriting. But yeah, that concludes the top 20 album of the year list. I hope you enjoyed, or if you got upset at any of the placement of these albums, you can just leave a little comment. You can tell me what you think. Maybe your favorite album wasn't even on this list, and you're just really angry because of that. Tell me. Let's have a discussion. Get in the comments. Tell me more. But yeah, that's all. I hope you guys all have a happy new year. 2025 is good to you. But until the next time, I'll see you later.